Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, and here we have info on the War of the Rohirrim. This is a upcoming, highly anticipated project, as they put it, in the LOTR franchise. This is an article that European Lore made a video about and read, and I figured since I hadn't seen this video, I decided not to. But I decided to do one on this article and see about trying my own luck. Who knows, might be good for getting views and subs. By the way, that was a hint. Subscribe if you're watching this. After the wild success of The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy wasn't as much of a success. It will be nearly impossible to top off the hype and dedication surrounding Tolkien's lore. Peter Jackson's take on Tolkien's fantasy world, one mythological world. It's not really fantasy in a lot of ways. I know people want it to be because you can lessen it down, but let's try not to cut it down because it and the Hyborian Age stand head and shoulders above all fantasy universes. They came kind of before the genre in a way. But enough nitpicking. Time to nitpick the article. However, no matter how nostalgic the original movies may be, there's so much territory, unexplored territory and ages in Middle-earth that it would almost be a shame not to think about adapting more material. Please no. Most adaptations have sucked. Please stop. Fortunately, the fans unfortunately, let's be honest, unfortunately, the fans got the taste of the timeless fantasy story again in the shape of, you're going to say the Rings of Power was something that gave them another taste? Yeah, that's more the taste of bile. There's nothing good in that show. Name me one. Oh wait, nobody can. So, yeah. No. No. They didn't give the flavor of the timeless world of Tolkien. Now, The Rings of Power, which was set thousands of years before the events of the main movies, with the unprecedented success of the franchise. Arguably, it's not. It's a mixed bag, really. It would be a waste not to experiment with the source material. Experiment with it? Don't you mean adapt it? Don't experiment. Don't. You're only going to screw up. I believe Victor Frankenstein in the story of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein kind of wanted to experiment with man. Look how that turned out. So, no, we don't need more experimentation. We need more adaptation if it's faithful to the source material. But since very few are, what we need is less adaptations. And for people to just go straight to the tap. The books. And if you're going to do an adaptation, why not graphic novels? Bande dessinée. These are quite good. And typically better than anything the movie guys and whatnot can produce. So, yeah. And that's what Warner Brothers intends to do, since they still hold the rights to the distributed LOTR movies. Oh, yeah. They aren't done savaging that corpse yet. Fans of the franchise can once again experience the enormity of one of the best stories of all time, but through a different medium. Oh boy. The Lord of the Rings is being expanded with an upcoming anime. Okay, it's not anime if it's in the West. It's an animation that's aping at anime. Anime is Japanese cartoons, just as Western, say, the Western Spider-Man cartoon was an animation. And I'm referring to the 90s one, which was the best one and the only one that counts. So, that was an animation, a cartoon. There's nothing shameful about calling it a cartoon. But the trouble is, for some reason, the word cartoon in the Anglosphere has taken on a bad flavor, and people think it's just for, I don't know, Dora the Explorer or some such nonsense. When Spider-Man the 90s cartoon was, in a lot of ways, for example, better than what a lot of anime, even of that era, were. You look at Under the Red Hood. That is a great animated cartoon movie that deals with topics that few, even of the anime variety, do. Although there are great anime that do tap these sort of subjects. But that's where, I don't know, this obsession with slapping the word anime everywhere is getting a little ridiculous. And trying to imitate the Japanese style is also annoying, because that's for Japan. The West has its own style. Cling to that one. This big budget project is set to revive the magic of Tolkien's lore and put the limelight on the complicated history of the Kingdom of Rohan, my favorite of the Third Age kingdoms of Tolkien's world. Spinning one of the highest grossing and critically acclaimed franchises into an animation is both a surprising and risky step. No, because they're doing the anti-risk thing by making it into an anime. So, no, this isn't exactly risky. One of the reasons why LOTR was a massive hit was its impeccable CGI for its time. Yeah, okay. And the impressive combination of cinema and effects. So the fact is still sinking in that the next big thing in the franchise is going to be an animated movie. Finally, you say the term animated. Initially announced to be released in early 2024, Warner Brothers had to push the release date further due to delays in production. Sorry, just have to pet the dog. Because of the now finished actor strike. Why couldn't it go on for another year? We'd have been saved from so much bad movie junk from Hollywood. With the movie's development now back in full swing, fans can expect the upcoming movie to be nothing short of another superior work of art. Yeah, it's not going to be art. It's a movie by committee. Extracted from the depths of phantasm, excellent. Phantasm means ghostly, spectral, excellence. Are you actually admitting it's going to be a shadow? Because a specter is pretty much a shadow of a person and of their soul. So are you saying it's the shadow of excellence? Is that what that sentence means? Je comprends pas. En tout cas. As the name suggests, the movie will explore the mighty kingdom of Rohan, which played a critical role in the fight against Sauron in the Two Towers. Allegedly, the plot will particularly revolve around Rohan's elite army, known as the Rohirrim. Are you drunk? The Rohirrim... Okay. It's like saying the Canadians are the elite of Canada's army. Yeah, because Canada has Canadians in it. Canadian means person from Canada. Just as, let's see, to be French or Français means to come from France or from French culture. English means to be, well, English. Scottish means to be from Scotland. So, does that mean that Scotland's army is Scottish? Hold the phone. Hold the press. Hey, Dan, by the way, did you know that Japan's elite army consists of Japanese, and that the natives of a country typically form the backbone of its entire military? I know, shocker. Anyways, so this sentence is of the utmost stupidity. The depths of this person's idiocy cannot be measured in words. Let me see who this buffoon is. Mayhem Arslan. I have no idea where he's from. But I'm probably going to say someplace where idiots are tolerated. Like, come on. I'm not saying they should not be tolerated. I just mean, like, oh my gosh, though. This is just... Somebody just swirly this guy. Like, what is he doing? The plot will revolve around Rohan's elite army. Yeah, well, the Rohirrim means people from Rohan. It's not Rohanian, it's Rohirrim. This is the... Learn the linguistics. Obviously, this guy is not someone who's very familiar with Lord of the Rings. If he was, he'd know that Rohirrim simply means, well, it is to the Americans, well, to the U.S. what Americans are. Americans come from U.S., at least that's how most tend to think. Or you have Argentinians who come from Argentina. Rohirrim means you're from Rohan. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I shouldn't get worked up like that. The movie is set some 183 years before the events of Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers will focus on the legendary ninth king of Rohan, Helm Hammerhand. Really great character. The fans will be treated to the history of Helm's Deep, the iconic fortress that played a significant in aiding Aragorn. A significant what? Role? Whatever. The story will also revolve around the background of the war between Rohan and the Dunlendings, a tribe of wild men living on the outskirts of Rohan. According to a panel that was held for the film at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival in Juin 2023, the conflict in the storyline will begin with a Dunlending leader named Fricka. With his Rohirric blood, he will lay claim to the throne and suggest tying his son Wolf and Helm's daughter in matrimony. I refuse to call her by the name they gave, because the Rohirrim are supposed to be Anglo-Saxon in some form, or at least an ancestral people to them, not Greek. I'm just saying, the name doesn't work. You can rationalize it however you want, but the name does not work. And focusing the movie around her, because she's going to be the main character, doesn't work. This movie should be about Helm Hammerhand, not his daughter. His daughter should be an important character, but the story's about him. And if you disagree with that, you just don't understand the mythology of Tolkien, and you just don't care. The movie's existence was announced in 2021, with only speculations circling its release date, that the animated film might come out at the same time as The Rings of Power. The movie obviously wasn't released at the same time, and it's to be released in avril 2024. However, because of the SAG-AFTRA strike, the release date was pushed back for several reasons. Okay, clearly you guys were not prepared to release it. You weren't finished. It's the truth. Boils down to that. Now, with everything sorted, LOTR fans can finally rejoice, or recoil in horror, because the new animated movie has a release date. The War of the Rohirrim will hit the theaters on December 13, 2024. It's been a while since New Line Cinema announced the development of a LOTR animated film during the 20th anniversary celebrations of the Fellowship of the Ring. However, it's standard for animated films to take time to come to the big screen, and that's exactly what Warner Brothers has promised the fans. The studio is strictly committed to a theatrical release, but once that run is over, the audience can catch the highly anticipated movie on WBD's streaming service Max. Yep, no one's actually really hooked on to that streaming service, so not many people are going to watch it there. I'm just saying. Doesn't seem like the streaming services are half as popular as they used to be today. One of the things that made Lord of the Rings franchise an immortal cinematic piece was its outstanding cast. Yeah, they basically just worship the cast. Okay. Information we already have. Gaia Wise, not familiar with her. Snowpiercer's Luke Pascalino will lend his deep, handsome voice, I have no idea who that is, to a wolf. Sean Dooley from The Witcher will be voicing the fearsome usurper Freka. I have no idea who that is. I don't know who any of these actors are. Is there a trailer for Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim? Fortunately, the marketing content for it is yet to be released. Another clip. Exclusive sneak peek that was released. Fans can recognize a brief narration in Miranda Otto's voice. It would make more sense. Viewers can see the princess feeding a giant eagle as she rides on a horse to the altar. That doesn't sound... That sounds dumb. It's going to be woke. No, it's going to subvert. No, because the focus so far in the narration has been on her. Another clip features wishes to eradicate a group of female warriors. Yeah. The emphasis is on the female characters who are taking on the male attributes. This is always what happens with modern cinema. It's why it sucks. And because women can't be women and men cannot be men. Just saying. You can have shield maidens. You can. They can be good. You can have male characters who take on the role of the mage or of non-combatant. They can be good, but not under current auspices. This is going to suck. They're not going to release another trailer for a while. They're not going to release a teaser anytime soon. And the reason they're not going to do it is because, or at least they're not going to do it for a while, is because they're trying to build up suspense. And they know once they release it, the controversy will be on, and it may nuke the film. That's my theory. Though if they release it, it'll be controversial. And it'll be to get people fighting. And you'll have all the buffoons who believe in hate watching going over to watch it, while most of the normal people will not be joining it. The director of the critically acclaimed series Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, never heard of it. Kenji Kamiyama will be heading the War of the Rohirrim. Oh. Okay. The name won't ring any bells in Hollywood, but hardcore anime fans will recognize him for his work in Akira, Netflix's Ultraman, Eden of the East. Never heard of him. And Studio Ghibli's widely popular classic Kiki's Delivery Service. Their worst Ghibli film? Oh, okay. I mean, like, I think their second or third worst. Kiki was terrible. The book's better. Okay. So they got someone who really can't direct to direct this. And I don't know Akira, Ultraman, or Eden of the East. I'm not familiar with them. They might be good. But what I've seen of this guy is he's terrible. So he failed up, I guess, with Kiki. And I just remember just thinking it was so terrible. And there was no conflict. Now, you need a conflict in a story in order to have conflict resolution. This is basic narrative writing 101. Genji Kamiyama did not understand that. Studio Ghibli was still learning its craft, and by the time of, I believe, 96 or 97, I think, or was it a little later, They had Mononoke Hime, which was probably the greatest anime movie in terms of for fantasy of all times. Spirited Away was probably the best Studio Ghibli movie overall, and that one's more urban fantasy. When I say fantasy, I mean classic medieval fantasy. So, yeah, Kamiyama, I'm not impressed with. As for the writing department, both Philippa Boyan and Kenji Kamiyama are collaborating on the story. Well, that's screwed. But the actual script for the movie will be written by Boyan's daughter, Phoebe Giddens. And what's her, what experiences does she have with writing? Probably absolutely none. So, it's going to suck. I don't think that nepotism should be allowed here. I'm not always adverse to nepotism because it's part and parcel of our world. But, okay, for example, Miyazaki expected that his son should earn his place at Studio Ghibli rather than be given it. And he put his son through hell just so that the kid would have to earn his place. Now, that's not to say his every movie that he directed was good, but you could see that he gradually tried to learn his craft and measure up to his father, who eventually did give his blessings to his son for creating animated films. That's what should be expected here. Instead, Philippa is just giving her daughter the writing credit here. At least that's my impression. And we also got to bear in mind, Philippa was involved in the Hobbit disasters, the Hobbit trilogy. So I don't think she should be given any kind of hope or faith here. And I just have... I'm going to be honest, I could probably write a better script for this. No, I definitely could. Will be a milestone project in the franchise as it opens doors to new possibilities for Tolkien's lore to be adapted further. So we're screwed. The movie will also be placed in the list of the top 50 longest animated films of all times, with a whopping runtime of 130 minutes, which is substantially long for an animated movie. Not that long. Why not aim for a 3-hour flick? Okay. Yeah, she has no passion for writing about what she loves. Movies and anime. No, she doesn't love them. I'm going to call that. Jeez, this says disaster written all over it. This says disaster written all over it. I'm calling it right now. Now, if you say I'm being cynical or mean, yeah, not going to deny it. I'm a fairly dour person by nature, so yeah. But you know what? I'll say this much. This is going to be a disaster on so many levels. There's no heartfelt writing here. None of this will come from the heart. It'll all come from cynical committee meetings and talentless hacks and whatnot. Completely unlike my writing. So go check out my Substack and my novel, Victor Timpeson, for heartfelt writing that's actually good. And until next time, also smash that like and that subscribe button to stay tuned for the next video.